So I used to have another channel called Horror Hangout. It's still there. I'm not active on it anymore. And on that channel, I had a movie podcast with three of my buddies. We stopped doing it for a while. And then when we went to go pick it back up, we decided to shift it over to my other friend's channel called Cinema Studies. My buddy Josh runs that channel. He has a podcast called Talking Movies. It's essentially the same thing, slightly different, but it's the same four people. And we decided to do, we alternate picks every week, right? A couple weeks ago was my pick. I picked SLC Punk. We also decided to put that on this channel. So if you like this video and you like the format, you like the people that are on there, go check out Cinema Studies channel. I'm going to link it in the description. That's Josh. He's one of my best friends in the whole world. Love that dude. And yeah, otherwise, just check out this kind of different podcast for the channel. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, have a good day, people. Peace.
Hey, what's up, posers? This is Talking Movies. My name's Josh.
I'm Clay.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Randall.
And tonight we are talking about, I didn't look up the year, actually. What year did this come out?
Shit, dude. Oh, man.
Early
SLC
90s?
Punk.
I should have known you were going to.
Sure.
98. Yeah, 98. I bought it on
98.
VHS when I was young, so I knew it had to be 90s.
Okay. Later than I thought it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was thinking like 94, maybe 95 at the most. But
Yeah, I
not
was
that means much.
kind of thinking that too. But anyways, this was Randy's pick after the long hiatus.
Yeah.
So I know this is a very important movie to Randy. So I'm going to give you the floor. Tell us what it's about. Tell us what it means to you. And we'll discuss it.
So the movie's not super complex, man. It's about two buddies that are like roommates and like pseudo anarchists in Salt Lake City, Utah, punk rock guys, and it's just like basically about those dudes becoming adults and like what are they gonna do? It's like a mix between like a coming of age story and a day in the life story, kind of like mixed together, with a fairly decent soundtrack. And I have no like worries with looking at this movie from a very realistic perspective and an objective perspective. Like I understand what this movie is, but it's important to me because when I saw it, I was like 16, 15 years old and I didn't have any guidelines. And one of the first times I ever heard a classic punk rock song was from this movie, the I Love Living in the City from Fear. And that's a song that I still love. And so back then, this movie was way more serious to me than it would be now. Now it's more of a nostalgic thing, but it's important because it kind of sent me on this journey. I mean, even down to like the color I used to dye my hair. They referred to me as Heroin Bob before I found, opioids and narcotics when I was in my 20s. But when I was young, I didn't do any drugs or drink at all. And that was like a nickname I got. Plus my mohawks were always real short like that dude. So like, it's just a movie that it kind of was with me my whole life up until probably I've turned in 25 26 years old and stopped watching movies like that. But I've seen this movie probably 50 times. I've had it on VHS, I've had it on DVD, I got a Blu-ray now. I love this movie, bro. This is like if I had to pick 25 movies to watch forever, this would probably be on that list. Now that doesn't mean it's like the best movies, but it's one that I would personally want to watch. I watched it with Carissa, she really liked it. I mean I was like grinning the whole time. Like I understand the movie and I understand some of the comments I'm probably going to hear tonight, but like, I love this movie, dude. It's just like, and there's so much like beautiful, real, like legit stuff in it, dude. There's so much ridiculous, corny crap in this movie. It's a really good amalgamation of realistic and cartoonish.
Yeah. What age were you when it came out, dude?
15.
15? Okay.
Yeah.
And you saw it like did you see it in the theater or like
no, I
after?
saw it when I don't even know how this happened, dude. When it was on like new on VHS, I just stumbled across it and like I think my dad bought it for me if I'm not mistaken. There ain't no way my mom would have bought this for me. But I think my dad, it might have been a Blockbuster thing. You know what? I bet that's where I found this movie, it was Blockbuster. Now, dude, I don't know why I didn't think of that first. That's where I found everything when I was that age.
We all did. That's how we discovered
right,
anything.
Right. Yeah, 1998. It was probably Blockbuster.
Cool.
I was
young,
on the shelf. Not driving yet. Dude, the color's like bright green, bright orange, blue hair on it. It's so easy to like walk by and go, oh, what is this? And then look at it. So, and then it says punk on the cover. So at that age, I was anything that said that anywhere near it, I was like immediately like, well, what is this? And like, what can I learn from this? And how can I be shown the way? You know what I'm saying? So,
I would say this is kind of like punk rock 101 a little bit. You know, like it's a good like introduction to the uninformed, I would say, and it's a hangout movie. I liked it. I was actually surprised how much I liked it. It's no masterpiece by any stretch, but I laughed quite a bit. I had a good time with it.
Nice. Yeah. Same here. I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting any sort of like, masterpiece, brilliant acting, anything like that. I was expecting a fairly, low budget, whatever. But I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it was. Same Josh said, like I was laughing throughout it. I liked pretty much all the characters. And got me a little bit, and the music's great. I mean, I couldn't point out any of the bands that play, but I'm sure I'll probably at least know or have heard of most of them.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. You know what I like is the introduction. Sorry, Hugh, I'll let you speak in 1 second. The intro is like a bunch of classic punk covers, like redone with actors' names. I every time I watch it, I forget that that's even going to happen. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And it's just all this, like, if you know what you know, you're like super entertained by the intro of this movie.
It took me a minute. It took me a minute to actually even register that's what that was, because
oh really?
The credits started and I was kind of like not looking, like paying attention to it that much, and I was like, oh, that's actually the actual credits in the little album cover. That's awesome.
Yeah. Had you seen this before, Hugh?
Man, it's been with me through the years, kind of like you, but I think I saw it when it came out, which I was like 20, I think, when it came out. And I do not remember a lick of it. Really? And I've tried to watch it a couple times because you've mentioned it a few times. And man, I couldn't make it past the first 30 minutes. And then this time, initially I was like, I hate this. Like, I don't like political stuff. It was just all like kind of, immature a little bit to me. And then, like,
for sure,
then I took a note. It was like 28 minutes in. I was like, still nothing has happened, And then all of a sudden, I was like, this movie really took off. Like, it got philosophical for me. It brought back a bunch of memories of, people I'd lost and situations I'd gotten myself into. And then some of the characters, like, especially the evolution of the characters on screen without, there's like a timeline without there being such, like, it wasn't so pronounced.
Right.
So, man, it was pretty fascinating to me. By the end of the movie, I was like, dang, that was really, really good. So, yeah, man. I mean, I probably have tried to watch this thing like 5 times and have really not been able to get through the first 30 minutes. Because it's so like, oh, this is punk, and this is how you act, and this is what it was real. And I was just like, oh my god,
it's a lot of the cliche stuff to start out. It's just throwing you into the world. Yeah.
But man, it like throws that away. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It does take this like sharp turn into like real movie all of a sudden. It starts off like caricature, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I really relate to these guys. Oh, I like this dude or that guy or this girl. Like, they have mods in this movie, which I think is hilarious because they don't really explain it much, which I like, because then you got to go, what the fuck was that? And then you go you Google it, and you're like, oh, that's like a whole nother subculture of people that's very adjacent to punk rock, very close to the skinhead movement. Like, excuse me. I like the absence of skinheads because I don't think they would have done it right. They would have done it with some nonsense bullcrap. It wouldn't have been no sharp skins. It would have been a bunch of bonehead idiots, and they would have portrayed it. And it sort of touched on it with the Nazi type dudes, but it didn't really go into detail.
Yeah, there was a quick little mention.
Yeah, well, yes, but like the gripes that I have are all in the same half hour, Hugh. It's the first. I like it because I watched it a million times. But even watching it with Carissa, I was like, man, I really wish I could edit this in a way that would make it a little more. And I've grown up a lot, man. I've also watched 100 million more movies that I can look at movies now, whether I like it or not, and I can tell if a movie was made good or made well. Made well, better now than I could have even 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Definitely when I was in my teens. But this movie is just incredibly important to me because of the relationship that I have with the characters. I mean, look at all the people that I like in like B-level movie stars, and it makes so much sense. I like Matthew Lillard. I like Devon Sawa. Dude, like Teal Schweiger's in this movie. Freaking the kid from Doom Generation is the mod. Like, what are we doing, man? This movie is amazing. And then like, if you look at like Matthew Lillard, this punk kid runs into this like super ordinary looking brown haired chick. I don't know nobody like that, bro. Like, what are we talking about? It's just like literally like my whole life in this movie. It's ridiculous. Like,
I thought Matthew Lillard did a really good job. Like when he lost Bob and he was crying.
Yes.
I was like, dude, I've cried like that where you like can't even catch your breath. You're just like, like it hurts so bad. You're crippled with it.
Oh,
I was like,
I cried. I cry every
looks
time.
Real. Like he looks legit. Like he's losing it there. He did a really good job. And I would say he kind of carried the movie a bit, but you know.
For sure. He's far and away the best. The guy that plays Bob in that movie, he played in a movie recently that I'm going to watch soon because I Googled him again because I was like, I've never seen him in anything else. And apparently he's like this really good director, apparently. I didn't know that. So,
okay. Yeah, I like this character. I think I liked his character the most.
Bob's my favorite, man. I love Harold Bob.
Yeah. I liked him a lot. I definitely thought Matthew Lillard was like almost a bit of a poser. He was the rich kid that, thought he was going to rebel against his dad. So he's not like
he was self-aware though.
Yeah,
like to a degree.
I don't want to start throwing around that word because I don't have any like cred to be doing that. But
sure you do. Anybody can say that word. This is the word of the week on Punk Rock Review for sure, bro. Like,
definitely,
it's been everywhere, dude.
But he was the rich kid that just didn't want to be like his dad, and it felt like he was trying to put it on a little bit. I don't know if that was
sure.
His acting style or the way the character was written. I don't really know, but anyway,
I think it's the writing. I have something I do want to say about that before I forget it. There's a certain amount of like nonsense that people start talking about when it comes to punk rock, as if you have to be poor, you have to be on drugs, homeless. You can't be like a kid from suburbia, right? Like that's ridiculous. There's nothing, in my opinion. Now there's two sides to every coin. Yeah, bro, like that. Yeah, like Jason Segel's. I forgot he was even in this damn movie for a minute.
I like this character.
I was gonna bring him up. I like this character too. Yeah,
like there's two sides to every coin. So while there's nothing more punk rock than being like, oh, I've got it made, but I'm still gonna go out and create music, be in the scene, participate, and do this stuff. Now, I would say you should probably use your resources if you're going to do that. So that's the other side of the coin is like if you have the ability to help out financially, help your scene out. But this is going to go layers and layers and layers deeper than just a movie that we're talking about. I'm talking about real life stuff too. But like, yeah, but that's what this movie does to me is it makes me think of all this stuff. It brings it all up. It makes me want to talk about it. It is a cartoon. I think that the people that made this movie are not punk rockers. I would be shocked to find out that the people that made it were in the scene at all. But that actually makes me like it more because I'm like, well, they did a pretty good job. There's just some things in there that I'm like, that wouldn't have been done. That wouldn't have been said. That wouldn't have been done. This didn't happen at shows. Ain't nobody banging some chick at a show on the pit, bro. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, come on. I've definitely had some filthy stall sex stuff. Like, like, let's be honest. Okay. But not on a floor like that, dude. That shit ain't happening, man.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of fascinating that he becomes his father in the end.
Oh,
and
saw that coming from a mile away.
I think, you saw it coming from a mile away, but at the same time, like, I resented my father growing up. Not to get too personal, and then I feel like I became like him, just like him, and I'm like,
we all do it.
All do.
What happened?
We all do it, bro.
That's How many times you say something to your kid and you're like, oh my God.
Oh,
I I just took that straight out of my dad's mouth.
It's in my genetics.
It's crazy.
It's in my DNA.
The other day, my mom snapped at me for snapping at my kid, and I literally just looked at her, and I was like, "Thank you for that." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Nothing." And I just was like, "I'm not trying to argue about it, but thank you for giving me the gift of no patience. I appreciate
Inception
that."
layers deep. It's like,
dude, right? But I'm just glad you guys didn't hate the movie, man. Sincerely, I'm really happy because I was ready to take a bunch of bullets tonight. I was like, well, I'll just sit here and take it because this movie is important to me. So I'm just glad you didn't hate it.
Honestly, I'm relieved, as much relieved as you were. I was a little dreading watching it because I didn't want to rip it apart. Like I know it's important to you. So.
Yeah, after watching it too, I was like, I don't know what Josh is gonna think of. Like, I think its biggest downfall is its editing. Like, I don't mind the flashbacks and he tells the story, so they jump back to the story. But like the way it's edited is bad. It's really bad. A lot of just like little quick cuts, and sometimes you're not 100% sure if it did cut back or if it cut back forward. So
dude, it reminds me of how my brain works.
I was honestly I was watching it and I was like not sure if it was intentionally sort of shittily edited. Like a punk rocker just got on here and like I'm gonna put this movie up. Yeah, it's like a garage. Yeah, like it's sort of like rough in that way, like a DIY type of thing. But
then it works like with the acid trip. Like I felt like that acid trip was real.
There's a few really really well done things in the movie. It's not all garbage, but yeah, the editing's pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, they try and get experimental in some places where it starts like
that's a 90s thing, bro.
Yeah,
so many movies in the 90s did that.
Yeah, it was a 90s thing for sure.
I thought the characters were all pretty fleshed out for being some of them only being in the movie for let's say 5 to 10 minutes. They were all pretty fleshed out. They had a very specific style of dress. Like the wardrobe people, I think, did a pretty good job. There was some stuff in it I didn't like. Like I didn't like the fact that you never saw any like dope band shirts. They didn't have to be real bands. They could have just been like ridiculous band names like Cockface or whatever. You call it whatever you want. Make a cool design. Like I understand having to get like legal.
Cockface is a cool band name.
That's for sure. But, that name has
gotta be.
Hey, dude, coming soon on 31 Records, fellas. You ain't know, you know now. Cockface, the 7-inch. Yes. Oh, jeez. Oh, I'm the worst at this. But
it made me kind of proud of the 90s, man. Honestly, like I was a little proud of my 90s roots. I felt like I need to buy some like really big jeans and some oversized shirts. And
I've got some good news for you because all of that fashion is back.
It's coming back. It's so stupid.
Yeah, that is definitely not good news, but I appreciate your enthusiasm, Josh.
The good news for him, not for me.
let me nitpick a couple of things about this movie real quick. Just because I've always wanted to have a platform to say like the things I don't like because I think it'll start conversations in comment sections. One, it makes me so angry when you have somebody like, say, Devin Sawa's character, and he's got the green spiky hair. Cut his fucking hair and just dye it. You can dye it back in 5 seconds, dude. Make it look like it's like clearly longer on the front. It doesn't look like what that would look like. It's supposed to be like it's all supposed to. For unfortunate, it's supposed to look more like Aaron Miklow's hair, bro. Like.
You did it.
It had to be done.
But like that every single time I watch the movie, that angers me. And then I don't like that he becomes like this junkie dude that walks into a place. I do like the dialogue when he flips around, start arguing with the lady. I don't want your fucking job. And you're like, I thought that was pretty funny. That was awesome. But like having like the fuck you on a shirt, like I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a little cartoonish to me. People don't, and punk rockers I know don't really dress and talk and behave that way, but drug addicts I know do. So I guess there's that. But
yeah, that scene did have me cracking up.
No, I was definitely laughing, dude. I like the part where it's like talk about when at his house, he's sitting on the porch, and he's like, "Are you Jesus?" And he's like, "No, I'm Bob." And then he goes, "Yes." And I was just like, I would definitely do that to somebody if they asked me if I was Jesus. I would go with it. I'm rolling with it. But honestly, there wasn't a lot of stuff I didn't like about it. I didn't like when he's like taking. I think his name is it Till Schweiger? Is that his name?
Sounds right.
The European fella. I don't know where he'd be from.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thing you're known from.
I think he's German.
But I don't like his character very much, to be honest. I think that they had him in the movie because he was already kind of famous at the time. And the character, I think that's the one person that I would take out of the movie because while there's a couple of good lines in it, you could take his character out and it wouldn't affect it in any way but positive, in my opinion. And I hate when they have him at the house and then they're like, "Oh, there's more. Yes, much more." And then he's like, got these stupid laser discs and that gun and he's freaking out about something that didn't even happen. I don't know. That character I thought was a little bit much. I still kind of like it because it's.
I kind of like that part.
Yeah, I really like that part.
I thought
of course.
was good.
I was waiting for you to say, yeah. Oh, I knew exactly that guy. I knew that guy did.
No, you know what? That's what I don't like about it. I do know that fucking guy. I know like 4 of them, and they all drive me nuts because I just wanted to score and then leave, bro. Like I don't need to be at your house. Hear stories about your fucking Range Rover that you got stuck on the beach.
I spent all my drug money.
Yes. No, dude, like, I'm not going to say names, but homie had a Range Rover, got stuck on the beach in Galveston. I was 4.5 hours late getting the coke. And I was like, bro, how do we party at 9 o'clock when I'm still here at fucking midnight? I'll never let that go.
The guns come out and stuff. Everybody starts waving them around. You're like,
yeah, it did go a little too far. But
that was probably the most realistic part of the whole movie. Let's be honest, okay?
Yeah, I'm not saying
but,
it's not realistic, but it did like that whole part. It did get a little bit too much, but yeah, I would just sat down and watch his laser discs.
Dude, what about the girl that's like? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. He had that giant back projected TV, the ones that roll around. I got a big ultra large screen. It's 42 inches. You're like, boy, wait till the 2010s, my friend. The girl that Matthew Lillard was hanging out with, that like Bob was with first, and then, huh?
Was it Brandy? No.
The one with like the cure hair, and he ended up walking in on her, banging out old buddy, and he beat up the dude. I related to that so much because that's exactly my personality. I would go with some chick that was kind of loose. And then I'd be like, no, it's cool. We can just have this casual sexual thing. And then I'm going to get sprung on this chick. And then I'm going to beat up some dude for banging her. Like, I honestly, I think that might have happened to me at least once, dude. I know I was the other guy once. So that sucked. But I didn't get beat up. But I definitely got into a fight. But, like, I just relate to that kind of personality and that kind of situation happening.
Man.
Sure, yeah.
I thought that was pretty profound. I think it speaks a lot about men's like default sort of coping mechanisms. Like
100%.
we will resort to violence. And I think when you're younger, like violence isn't that far off. Like everybody's like, oh, you shouldn't act like that. And like, dude, you're kind of protecting yourself from being hurt. And I don't know, like shit. Yeah.
Violence is sometimes the answer.
And then you're feeling like a little territorial, like that's my woman. I'm supposed to protect her, even if I said like, it's
right.
It's realistic to be possessive for sure. Yeah.
And then the only character in the movie that I actually like, the drug dealer guy, he was kind of annoying because I know too many people like that. Like you said, the only character that I actually didn't like, but I think is necessary is Trish. I also knew people like her, and I didn't like them. They weren't really punks. They were more hippie types, and they were intellectual types, and they liked to think that they knew a bunch of stuff, and they would talk like they were smarter than everybody, and shit drove me nuts, man. And they were always attractive, too. It's like, what in the fuck, bro? Like, how does that happen? How is every person that I know like that also good looking? Like, I hate you. Like, what are we doing? This movie is too personal to me. I have like personal beef with people that I have no reason to dislike.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that you picked it just because it is so personal.
I almost didn't, but I was like, you know what, man? I don't give a shit. Like, I've watched movies that were important to you guys that y'all weren't sure I was gonna like. So yeah. I thought, let me give you one that's like legitimate important to me, because I don't have a lot of movies that fall into this category that aren't horror movies, especially. I got True Romance, this one. Terrifier. I mean, that's Outsiders. Those are like my favorite movies of all time outside of horror, and it's still one of them is Terrifier. But like The Outsiders would have been a cool pick because that. But I mean, that's kind of a boring movie to be honest. We've all seen it 100 times probably. We definitely all know about it. Read the book.
I've only seen it once, but
really,
I like it.
We should do what's the other one that Nick Cage was in? It's black and white. Rumblefish. We should do Rumblefish. That's probably a more fresh. Hell, we can probably do both those.
I prefer it.
Yeah, I think I like Rumblefish more.
Yeah, personally.
Like as far as the books are concerned, I like Outsiders, and that I feel like that story is almost like a uncle to SLC Punk, because you can get from Outsiders to SLC Punk pretty quick, as far as like just people and stories, not necessarily quality, different quality, of course, but yeah, man, I enjoyed this a lot, dude. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm incredibly grateful that you guys watched it with me and that you enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I dug it a lot, man. If it wasn't for the editing, this would get like a 4.5 or something like that. Like I dug it a lot. I'm bummed it's only in that like Sony box set thing because I want a copy, but
we have copies. You may
know, but honestly, it probably fits the movie.
I was gonna say
it's super punk rock that I just made a bootleg of it.
Yeah, no, I'm super. I like that better than going and buying one, dude.
A Sweden.
How did it look on 4K? Was it good?
It looks good.
Yeah,
looks
awesome.
Okay.
It actually was surprising that it looked really, really, really like, because we also have it on like digital. I own it on digital, and I forgot. And so whenever we were watching it, we had like a problem with the digital thing, and I was like, well, let me look at the 4K disc, because sometimes our 4K player in the living room acts up, so I'm hesitant to watch it out there. But it looked really good. I liked it. I was very appreciative of the work Chris put in on that. Yeah, man, dude. I got so I don't know, man. Every single time I watch this movie, I cried at the end. Every single time. Watching that guy go through that, it hurts so bad because I've lost so many friends like that. Dude, I think I could probably say there's probably like somewhere between 8 and 12 friends that I've lost like that specifically. Not there's other things too, but like that. Woke up, they were gone. A lot of people, man.
Yeah.
I thought about you when that happened, because you've told me stories like that. So
horrible things, and I mean the way he reacts is exactly how I feel like I probably reacted. I yell at him, cry a bunch, but I can't hardly say anything. I can't hardly make no noise. I'm just staring. Yeah. You know, it was a tough few minutes for me to watch, but like I know it's coming, and I make myself go through that every time and go, no, dude, like don't be a pussy, don't like fast forward through it so you don't have to hear him get upset. Like that's part of the journey. You have to take this on. You have to be willing to go through that to get to the end, which is him being a better person. Like he comes out of it like smarter, driven, and ready to work hard for what he believes in, which is what he was lacking at the beginning of the movie. He was like, I just want to do whatever I want, which is cool. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, what better way to fight the system than within? That's absolutely correct, man. I mean, I do the things that I do, you know, because of that. Like I have been on the front lines in like a moral battles and like from the inside. You have to. There's no way to be like, oh, I'm going to make a change, but I'm not going to be a part of nothing. That's impossible. Good luck. Yeah, you're full of shit is what you are. So, you know, I think that this movie is super silly, but there's some really great stuff in it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I can relate entirely to that part too, because I had a best friend that I grew up with, like Bob, who died in a car accident when I was about that age. That's his picture behind me, actually. But,
oh wow!
Yeah, but man, it was. I saw that and I was like, dude, I remember this. Like, and it's hard because you want to forget stuff a little bit because it's painful. But then at the same time, you're like, well, you know, I want to remember people too. So it hit me. There were a couple other things I really want to talk about, man. And I don't mean to cut you off, Josh. Do you have a thought there you want to get in there?
No, go for it.
I liked his monologue when he starts to talk about his politics, and then he realizes that anarchy is kind of flawed. It's like a circular argument. And like, to fight is a reason to feel pain, and fighting is chaos, but there's actually structure to the chaos and structure to fighting. And then he's like, wait, that's not anarchy. I thought that was really an intelligent kind of monologue. And I thought like the liquor store was a great scene where they go to like Wisconsin or whatever, Wyoming.
I love that too. Yeah,
dude. I have like a Mickey's malt liquor tattoo of the bee, and I was like, everybody's drinking Mickey's. Like nobody drinks Mickey's anymore. But it wasn't beer; it was malt liquor. They kept calling it beer. I was like, yeah, it's malt liquor.
I called Mickey's beer too. It's the same thing to me. That's awesome.
And the chick who quits her antidepressants. One time I took antidepressants for a long time and then I just quit. And bro, I was pretty messed up. Like I had like serotonin syndrome or something. And I was thinking I was hearing like God talk to me and having spiritual experiences like on the regular. It was pretty wild, but I was like, oh yeah, I've kind of been through that. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiar feelings throughout this movie. One thing I really appreciated. I'm sorry, are you still?
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a point to say that when it first comes on, like when you're watching the movie and the credits are over at the beginning, right? And it comes in to them in their like little like studio apartment thing. I was cracking up, dude, and I was like, Carissa goes, "Oh, I know. That looks exactly like the house you used to live in, doesn't it?" And I was like, so much that it's kind of weird.
I bet it does.
Yeah, dude, we had a shitty TV that we used to draw on with markers and draw like dicks and stuff on it. And we had a record collection. I definitely slept on the floor by a window on a mattress a bunch. At one point, I lived in the dining room of a punk house because I had nowhere else to go. But like there was, my friend Benny had a bedroom. Brian had a bedroom. I had the dining room. I can't remember who had lived in the living room. And then we had somebody living in the bathroom. And then I think that was it. There was like 5 or 6 of us in this, but it was like a little 2-bedroom apartment. And we all chipped in like $150 a month that we could live there. And, you know, it was chaos, dude. But it was, dude, every night was awesome. Like every single night we would get off work and it was like, who's getting drunk? Who's getting drugs? Are girls coming over? Are we fighting somebody? What's happening, man? Let's go skateboard. Let's go ride a bike somewhere. Let's go break into some shit. Like I miss being 20 years old so bad. And at the same time, I am so glad I don't do none of that shit no more. Like I'm so glad I'm this age. But like, bro, I don't know anybody that had more fun than me in their 20s without being incredibly wealthy. Like you'd have to be super rich to be having more fun than I had. I was poor as hell. I had all kinds of fun.
I thought another segment was pretty interesting where the guy was trying to prove that the devil wasn't real to like prove his point or whatever. And I've like tried to prove that to myself. I used to go on a bunch of like ghost hunts and shit. And then I actually had the ever loving shit scared out of me by a ghost. And then I was like, well, I'm good. Like that's close enough to where
I'm retired.
Dude. I went to this place. It was a hospital. It was like a big ghost tour, and somebody actually was murdered there. There's like blood on the walls. It was an actual crime scene. And I was standing in this little tiny room off to the side with this girl I didn't know. And I heard this growl behind me, like, "Cow!" And she took off running, and I was like, what the hell was that? And like I caught up with her and she was like, "Did you hear that?" I was like, "Yeah, what was it?" She was like, "I have no idea." And I was like, "Well, that's good." There was a whole bunch of other weird experiences, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't need to be that guy." But that spoke to me too, where the guy's like having a seance and shit. And I was like, "Yeah, it was an awesome movie, man." I thought there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I found it kind of cool that like all the things you just brought up were all pretty much like 5 minutes of the movie. You know, him having that monologue and the chick off her antidepressants and the dude talking to like trying to disprove like all that stuff was in the span of like 5 minutes. So I think that's kind of what makes this movie so good and puts it up with a lot of like other good hangout movies like Jarmusch movies and what's the freaking recent one, Josh?
What's the one you like, Josh?
Crap, with Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Oh, Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, Licorice Pizza. You know, it's kind of recent, so it's in the back of my mind.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
You know, just like I think you could take this movie like almost scene by scene and have a little something to say about like every character they meet and every little thing they do. And I think that's what makes it good is it's interesting, and every little step along the way has
it's one of those things that the sum is great. it's greater than the sum of its parts. Because spending all that time with them, you just become invested in who they are, and you just grow this bond, and they're peeling back layers and all these things. You feel like you know these people by the end of the movie, you know.
Yeah,
so,
and that's
you have the
Bob hurts.
Yeah,
dude, I remember getting made fun of by like punk guys, quote unquote, for like loving this movie when I was in my 20s, and I was like, y'all can kiss my ass, bro. Like y'all are the kind of people that I don't like. Like, stop being like that. It's unnecessary.
Right.
Like,
it's like to make fun of each other. Like, they're always like, you're not punk enough. It's like,
oh no, dude. Look, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say this publicly. Punk rock, while the most important thing in my life, is simultaneously one of the stupidest fucking things in the world. But
I love it.
If you can acknowledge that, then you can just dance around the stupidity like I try to do. Like, there's a lot of stupid crap that happens, but there's a lot of beautiful stuff that happens. There's music that will literally move me to tears that you can't find anywhere else except punk rock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, there's people out there doing things for people. I guarantee you, if you look at like I could give examples of people. I'm not going to put their name out there right now, but like of people that go out and they, on a daily basis, try to help people, actively getting money and food, clothing. This is stuff that punk rock people do. So yeah, it's silly, and there is a uniform, whether people want to agree with it or not. There's a rule set, whether you want to agree with it or not. Doesn't matter what you think, because you know it's real. Gatekeeping, while oftentimes really stupid, is also necessary, because this is important to me. And if you're in here doing some fake bullshit, I don't want you in. If you're out here and you're vacationing in punk rock for 6 months, and that's fine. You want to come to shows and you want to participate, spend your money to get in and buy some merch, I'm all for that. But the moment you start running your mouth and acting stupid, get the fuck out, man. Like, it is a subculture. It's for the people that are broken, lost, beat up. It's for lonely people, man. It ain't for everybody. So if you're a rich kid, there's a reason why you don't even resonate with it. It just doesn't go. It doesn't stick to you when I throw it on you. It just washes right off. And well, no wonder. And it's okay. Like, you have your things. Dude, go play football or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just, people like, you shouldn't gatekeep. What are you talking about, dude? Yeah, you should. You should protect the things that are important to you. Like, the term gatekeeping is not, I don't look at it as such a negative thing. People do now, but it's because, you know, people gatekeep for the wrong reason sometimes, and they do it to a degree that's unnecessary. I wholeheartedly understand that. But dude, you got to have it to a certain degree, man. You got to protect the things that you care about. No, right. It's weird, man. And I don't want to get on my soapbox. My knees hurt from standing on it all day. I'm sorry. But on a more lighthearted note, this probably changes pretty often. But right now, my current favorite part of this movie, and it's been this for a long time, is when he's talking to his dad, when he's got that ridiculous ball cap on and that giant fake mohawk. Yeah. I absolutely, because it's like flopping around, and so as silly as that looks, I also have been around enough punk rockers to have seen mohawks literally flopping back and forth because they're so long. There's this kid, Travis. He played drums for a band called Arm & Arm. To this day, I've never seen somebody with a mohawk as big as this before. It was the craziest fucking thing. It must have been, I don't know, a good 24 to 30 inches tall. It was so big that when he would put it up to go to shows, he'd have to ride in the car like this. And like, we would drive like 45 minutes to the venue, and he'd be like, oh, and he'd get out and be like, oh, bro. I'm like, would you just cut your hair? He's like, I'm not cutting my hair, bro. I'm not doing it, bro.
It's dedication.
But, dude, straight up. And I mean, that guy was legendary, man. There was a punk rock show. I will get back to the movie in 1 second. There was a show we were a part of where I don't remember who was headlining it, but Arm & Arm was playing, and that's who I lived with. And the guy that owns the club that me and Hugh, the club we went to, that guy played guitar in this band. So I've known this guy my whole life. His band was playing at a show, and that dude Travis was playing drums. This guy AJ was playing bass. John was playing guitar, and then this kid named Kenny was singing. There was a noise ordinance violation, and the police came. And all these kids had paid to see this show. And so they came in, they're like, you got to turn it off. You got to shut it down, da-da-da-da-da. And we were like, nah, bro. And they just kept playing. And so I was like circle pitting with kids, and they just kept playing. Cops come over, and they yanked the microphone out of Kenny's hands. So John and AJ and Travis said, just keep playing. They just keep playing. They just keep playing. The crowd singing with the songs. So then they come over and they unplug John's guitar cabinet. And he just starts screaming and waving his guitar around. And then they unplug AJ's bass cabinet. He starts slamming his bass on the ground and he breaks it into like 15 pieces and starts throwing it at people and throwing it at cops, dude. There's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 cops in there. And they're like running around they're getting pelted with guitar pieces and shit, right? The reason that I'm talking about Travis is because that dude played drums for like 2 more songs, dude. He just kept playing and just would not stop. They had to like physically remove him from that place. But that's the kind of stuff that this movie reminds me of, is stuff like that I was there. I saw it. I was part of it. I witnessed it. I was essentially their merch guy at that point. I was just walking in carrying, equipment for them and stuff. And like that stuff matters, dude. Those memories matter. And like that rebellion is important, because if you don't have that, then those cops can come in and just tell you what to do all the time. Like, bro, tyranny, it's a snowball conversation, right? But life will get real sad real quick if you don't stand up for the stuff you believe in. And yeah, man,
I agree with that. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm probably a fascist capitalist. I got a job in finance. I sort of conform, wear the penguin suit.
What a poster!
I know.
But the thing is like,
I thought Brandy was the most important character in the whole movie, because she's like, isn't all this just a bunch of bullshit? Like, you're talking about how strong your identity is. Isn't that like not punk? That's like, oh yeah.
I mean, I understand that. I totally understand that. Yeah. I don't even disagree with it 100%. But that's what makes it so important.
There's a clip from the 90s of a bunch of punkers. I wish I could find it. It's like a social media kind of Instagram thing. And there's a bunch of people and they're talking about their politics. They all look like freaks, like we know. And the one guy, they're all disagreeing. One's like, I'm a Republican, I'm a and the one guy stops. He's like, see, this is what's good about punk, is we can all sit in the same room and talk about things and not agree about what is true or whatever. But we can sit here and respect the fact that, we're having this conversation. We're not going crazy and treating people like shit. And I think that to me is what punk represents the most, is like being open-minded and flexible, and saying like, oh, that guy looks weird, that's punk. Oh, that guy doesn't look weird, that's punk. Like, it's just
for sure
represent who you are, your individuality. So yeah. So
I knew a lot of people
worked into it at some point, but yeah,
it definitely did. I knew a lot of people that looked like Jason Segal's character, where they were just like straight-laced looking dudes, but then when you talk to them for like, they took off their polo shirt and they had like a half suit, and you're like, oh my god, your whole body's tattooed. I had no idea. And they're like, yeah, I just chose. I think that's just as punk rock is the opposite to me. And like, while I understand that the costume and the mohawk and the colored hair is silly to a degree, it's also not silly to a degree. Take somebody that does that every day and ask them why. Watch how important it is to them. And if it's that important to them, it's for a reason. And you don't have to agree with it, but that's exactly what makes it punk rock. If you don't agree with it, who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter. And
but
that's kind of
people who walk around in the costume and they do it specifically to get attention.
Yeah,
and that's what it's like. Yeah. You're using this for your own narcissistic means. Like, and is that still punk? Like, we could probably
no, not even a little bit. Those type of people generally they go to punk shows because it's their job, and yeah, dude, they try to get into shows for free. They don't want to pay. They try to get free bar tabs, and they complain when you don't do it. So I hear. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those people suck. But I like when he's talking to his dad, and he's like, and at the very end of it, he's like, and for the first time in my life, I'm 18, and I can say, fuck you. That's the point of all this shit. It is a young person's movement, but once you get older, you get to understand that, like, okay, I did all the young person stuff. I needed to do that. You have to do that. You got to get it out of your system so that you can be older and you can rebel from the inside. You can take over from the inside. You can go and I can go get a job at Alamo and have a person that I know does, like, I would say, not even doesn't like me, hates me, bro. Right? I'm going to still be in that bitch. I'm going to still make my money. I got my regular customers. I got my friends that work there. That's my rebellion. Is I'm going to keep going into that place and I'm going to work there because fuck you. You're not going to make me quit. Kiss my ass, dude. Like straight up, I've thought about this for so many times, like hours, dude. Like, man, I should just find another job. Now, fuck that. I'm not leaving because of this woman. She's not going to force me out of something I like. Kiss my ass, man. So
we've had some pretty detailed conversation about like what is punk and how does that, and like you've been pretty patient with me on those topics. Like, so I appreciate that. It just sort of speaks to what I said earlier, where like the punk means you can sit down and have a conversation and like represent yourself, and that's okay.
Man, first off, I love you, bro, and I would listen to you ask questions all day if you need me to. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. Even if we have to argue about it, I don't care. You're my friend. Thanks, the thing is about it's not the same thing for everybody, and that's what bothers me about these people that get on and talk shit about people like me for not liking the Clash. It's stupid. Punk rock is different for everybody, but you know a real motherfucker when you see one. It's not even about. I mean, you can take the words punk rock out of it. Okay, it's just you know the right kind of person when you see them. Like I am a DIY type of dude. Like I got this the screen print thing today. I put it all together. I did one shirt, and guess what I said when I made the shirt?
That again.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like this. This is too like I'd rather just do it like
too nice.
It just doesn't. I don't know something
looks
about
too good.
It, like. It's not. I don't know, man. I don't know what it was about it. I just wasn't comfortable using the machine, and I was like, I think I should just go back to doing the way I was doing it. I had a thing I was doing. It was working fine. Why am I trying to change it? And it is a little silly, dude. Like, look, you got to be able to admit that. If you can't admit that it's a little silly, like, what do you mean it's not a little silly? Dude's got, 18-inch tall red mohawks. It's a little silly, but but it also means something to us. It also represents a certain amount of, you're not going to just dictate how I live my life every day. You can't wake up and tell me what to do. You're not going to tell me how to dress. You're not going to tell me what music to listen to. That shit is crazy, dude. I don't know how anybody does it, but I have lots of friends and family that's how they're not even bothered by it necessarily, which is perfectly fine as well. But if you are bothered by it, you should stand up and do something about it.
I was thinking about that guy in Return of the Living Dead. He's like, what do you think? This is a freaking costume? This is a way of life. I love that guy. So.
Dude, it's like, yes and yes. Yes and yes, sir. But I get it. Like, I mean, if it wasn't a fashion statement, I wouldn't bother doing it, right? Like, what would be the point in me putting the patches and shit on my jacket if it didn't look cool to me? Now it's subjective. So some people may look at it and go, you look like a bum. Whatever. But like,
I mean, everything's kind of a fashion statement a little bit. It's
right.
part of our culture, right?
Yeah. So, but this movie really it'll provide a much longer conversation than you think. And I love it. Yeah. It's cool, man. Oh, yeah. The best line in the whole movie is when he says, he goes, don't forget, son, I didn't sell out. I bought in. And then Matthew Lillard goes, yeah, sure, Dad. And pats him on the shoulder and walks off. And then he walks out and his mom goes, he reminds me of you. And then he goes, you can see him smiling, and she goes, he's a real son of a bitch. And then he just goes, and then he goes, he doesn't even look at her, and he goes, fuck you, dear. And that's so exactly like those people behave.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even think there's anything wrong with it. I love it. I embrace it. No. Dude, you live how you want to live, and
I'll shoot him again.
I kind of like the dad. Like,
I absolutely like the dad.
He's definitely a square, but we all sort of become those people. I'm becoming that person. Like, he is looking out for his son. He does want what's best for him.
For sure.
And that conversation in the car does make him start thinking about things, like,
yep.
He's like, wait, why did I try in school? Like
right.
That kind of like starts the whole end of the movie where he starts to rethink his life.
Wait a minute. If I wasn't going to try, why did I try? It's like, it's weird, isn't it? Like, as much as I want to be all punk rock and shit, I still care about my artwork. Dude, look how much time I put into a cassette tape. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly I give a shit because I make my stuff look nice and things, but it's not about not giving a shit. There are a bunch of punks that are like that too, man. Them drunk punks they don't care. That's not how they're different too. So I mean, look
at see myself in the dad too, man.
It's weird. The older I get, the more I see myself in the parent characters. So I'm like, oh no.
I'm like the divorced old man. I'm like, yeah, I could get a Porsche and pick up some tail. And...
Sure.
Dude, is it bad that I didn't even remotely see myself in that guy at all? Like I was like, not me. That ain't me. No. So am I never gonna grow up ever?
Probably not.
That's okay.
Yeah,
man. I'm just glad that you guys liked it, dude. I'm serious. That was awesome, bro. I'm stoked.
Good conversation.
Yeah,
sure. I liked it.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, good back to the podcast grind.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, I'm sorry I bogarted the conversation all night. I just got so excited about this damn movie.
I mean, this is your movie. I think we all assumed that was gonna
this is all you, man. This is all you. It was gonna happen. That's all good. Something I was thinking about introducing to the podcast just as like a fun conversation exercise.
Dick pics.
Yes,
dude, let's go.
But that's private, not
wieners,
not for the podcast. What would you pair this with in a double feature?
Ooh,
I think this would be just a fun conversation. Just whatever movie gets picked.
Suburbia.
Okay.
Or the one with Emilio Estevez.
Repo Man?
Oh, I was gonna say Repo Man. That was
okay. I can feel it, dude. I can feel your energy saying Repo Man. So either depends on what direction you want to go. You want to go film based on non-real events, or do you want to go Suburbia, which is very much a real depiction? You go from this one to a more serious film, or you go into more of a kooky horror, weird sci-fi situation.
Yeah, I feel like Repo Man is a good second feature for that. That's like the midnight feature where it gets a little weirder, a little
hell yeah, bro. I would love to watch Repo Man after this one. That would be a great pair.
I kind of threw it on you guys. You have anything in mind?
I was thinking what's the one, Dazed and Confused?
That's not a bad second movie for this.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, one of my favorite movies
hangout
of all
movie.
time. Yeah, great hangout movie.
What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I guess just to have a different than Repo Man's pretty good. I'm not going to beat that. And I think Return of the Living Dead is maybe a little too.
No, bro.
Totally, man.
But I was going to say also because I just watched it was Wild Zero. That also crazy.
Nice.
Yes,
Japanese zombie it's so much fun. That movie was so much fun. It's ridiculous. It's silly, but I mean. The whole movie is just about punk rock identity.
Dude, I got to do a new segment on the channel, man. I got to do the punk rock movie review. And just because there's 20 or 30 movies I could watch and actually that would actually be, quality content on that channel that makes sense,
Maybe don't commit to it so much like the t-shirt thing. Just make a couple shirts here and there and then call it good so you don't burn out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't have any I don't have to do it unless I want to do it. I can just go, hey, I feel like watching this movie this week, and I'll write some notes down and do a little 10-minute video. Nothing with not even really any editing or anything. But
put it on the punk rock review. Just make a playlist for.
No, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
No, that's what I meant.
That's
Do it on the punk rock review, but just make it specifically movies that would kind of fit either a DIY low budget an indie movie or an actual movie about punk rock. You know what I'm saying? So it's one or the other. But man, I just had a blast with this one, dude. Wild Zero is such a great movie, bro. I was also thinking, if you wanted to go real dark, you could go Green Room first, and then SLC Punk is a lighter. But the end of SLC Punk is still kind of dark.
Green Room. I love Green Room.
Yeah.
Yes, there's another one. Let me figure it out real quick. The Decline of Western Civilization, of course, but there's another movie that's. I want to know if any of y'all have seen it before. Give me 1 second to find it before I get out of here. Man, it's about a thing that happened in Texas.
Is Suburbia the grittier, real version of this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Never seen it.
Bomb City. Have y'all heard of Bomb City?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Oh yeah, I saw it in the movie theater.
Okay, so that would be a good pairing with this.
Okay.
It's Bomb City is like one tick up on realistic punk rock from this. It'd be a great double feature. But yeah, dude, what a cool idea to do a double feature question. That's a good little segment at the end, man. I like that.
Yeah. So y'all can keep that in mind for next week. Just what kind of off the wall pick, just something fun to talk about.
So it's my pick.
Yeah, your pick this week, Chris.
All right. I've been wanting to watch this. I just got it not too long ago. The Abyss.
Ooh.
Just had that Cameron 4K that everybody's angry about because Cameron, like, AI'd all his
dude.
It's been a minute since I've seen The Abyss. It's probably been 25 years, man.
But I've never seen it.
Cool.
So why are people mad about the AI thing?
It's not really AI. It's just he kind of he took a lot of the film grain out, and he took a lot of it was digital noise reduction.
They do look weird. They do look
so
weird.
It does look like he ran the movie through AI cleanup, and just everything looks a little.
They did that to Aliens too, right?
Yeah, because I think with Aliens. Yeah, so I think they said I think Abyss was the better of the three, and then Aliens was kind of and then True Lies was supposedly really bad.
That's crazy.
There's parts of True Lies that are absolutely terrible.
Well, that's a reason for me to not like it. I thought it was going to be because he used AI, and I'm like, it's his movie. Let him do what he wants with it. But yeah, that sucks.
No, yeah, he has this idea that everything should look digital.
Why?
But it's an old movie. You can, Criterion and Kino Lorber, they're doing these amazing restorations. They're just scanning the prints and cleaning the dust off of them, but they still look like film prints. They just look like a pristine film print. And he's doing all this extra stuff to scrub all of that out.
Oh, that sucks. I like
a modern movie.
I mean,
and it looks
could use some help,
digital
though.
I like film grain.
Some really profound effects for its time that I think were a little too far reaching. So
yeah, but he's not redoing the effects. He's not creating new effects for the movie.
He's polishing them up.
He's just basically putting a sheen over like a filter over the screen.
Charlie Sheen. Tiger Blood. Let's go. I gotta get out of here, guys. I'll see y'all next time. Chris, what's your movie? The Abyss. Dude, I'm like, bro. Sorry, I'm still jazzed up about SLC Punk.
Great conversation.
Guys, thank you so much, man. Anybody that's here on the Punk Rock Review, go check out. What's your channel called these days, Josh?
It's just Cinema Studies.
Okay, well, the podcast is called Talking Movies. I wasn't sure if you changed the channel name. So, Cinema Studies. I'll link it in the description if you're here on my channel. Otherwise, thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. See y'all next time.
Yeah, later,
guys.